told that we need to move quicker. The date today is 27, and the actual date was 10th February last year. When the incident happened, that made everybody jump around in the country, make the calls and all that, when one of the most famous sons of the country was shot and killed. I remember that on the 10th again was a big story, all that. We've been really pushed on it at all levels, police, politicians, ministry, we've been pushed on the matter. Information has been given time and again, especially by the provincial commissioner here. It will be also by the spokesperson national from the office of the national commissioner. I said to one of your colleagues this weekend, Sunday, it's very clear that I will never answer any question without being asked this question. That was Sunday, and Monday again it was answered. So we will invite the provincial commissioner to give the story of those 6 that have been arrested. I'm sure you have been making the call to say a person was in the video, why is it not arrested, and all that kind of stuff. The story is unlike evidence. What you see, people still have to investigate. So to you, there was one person that was to be arrested. 6 people have been arrested. That will appear in court on Thursday. It's one outstanding. As we have said, and especially the provincial commission, all of us, there have been things that have been done. Maybe that's the time to tell that story. From us, national office, is to congratulate women and men in blue. One has just met the team that for last almost 48 hours, they did not sleep to get the final people, since it will be explained that first person on this case was arrested in April last year. So, and you have been saying that story, and everybody denying. Maybe Lieutenant General Nkwana Zwepen, so Provincial Commissioner, will give us the path that the police have covered. But the question, I'm sure, will come to an end. When are you arresting the killers of AK? And I hope South Africans will have a better sleep after that. Thanks. Lucky?
Thanks so much, Minister. And greeting once more to all of you. I'm going to be very brief with regard to the presentation that we're making this evening. As the Minister said, there's a total of 6 suspects that have been arrested and detained in connection with the murder of the 2 individuals, Mr. Keenan Forbes, also known as AKA, as well as Mr. Tabelo Motswane, who's also known as Tibz. The incident that happened on the 10th of February in Florida, here in Durban. These 6, they played different roles during the operation. We have a coordinator who's basically the master of everything, is in custody. We have 2 shooters that you also on social media. We have 2 spotters that were one of the spotters was inside the restaurant observing and watching Mr. Forbes and his friends, as well as the organizer of firearms and vehicles, because the vehicle used as a getaway, firearms that were used to shoot, they all hired. As I said, the 6 of them. The spotter initially followed Mr. Forbes from the airport on arrival, all the way to the hotel, as well as to the restaurant where the incident happened. And this person was also responsible for gathering resources together, the whole team together, as well as the rewards that came thereafter when the people have done their job, the payments that was done. And the second suspect that we have is a person who supplied firearms and vehicles, and that person was also linked to other two murder cases, not these ones that that we're talking about. And the third one, it's a shooter who is linked to another murder case, another parallel murder case. We have another spotter that was just outside the restaurant, who's also linked to another case. And we have another spotter who was outside Wish, who's linked to other two murder cases. And we have a shooter also as a sixth person who's linked with another murder case. In total of the exhibits that we've recovered thus far, it's a total of 4 vehicles, as well as a firearm that was used in a commission of crime, as well as cartridges that were picked up from the crime scene that were linked with another crime scene where another shooting happened. The first vehicle, which is a Mercedes-Benz, was recovered on the 6th of March last year. And the second recovery was on the 22nd of April, and that was a firearm that was used to shoot and kill Mr. Forbes, specific. On the 23rd of June, the team identified, after recovering these cartridges, they linked them together and were able to link that and confirm that they're all involved. That firearm that was used in both murder scenes. A BMW was recovered on the 2nd of August. That's a vehicle that was trailing Mr. Forbes when he landed in KZN from the airport all the way to the hotel, all the way to the restaurant. A grey I-10 vehicle was recovered on the 20th of October last year. And on the 23rd, the last vehicle, which is a Polo, was recovered as well. So all these recoveries were kept in police premises, and we processed them. The last 2 vehicles were hired from the owner who rented these vehicles. So we took the statement from the owner. We've done all the necessary things, touched DNA and everything that we needed on those cars, and we since released them to the owner, because the owner just rented this vehicle out. So we've got all the evidence as the person who rented the cars. We have all the evidence, and we're comfortable with that case. Timelines, as I've explained, on recoveries will also be the same with arrests. The first arrest, or perhaps maybe before I explain the arrest, before the questions, the strategy that we employed was that after identifying these 6, we're going to look for parallel cases that they are involved in. And we're going to arrest them on those cases and keep them in custody, but don't charge them on the case that we're investigating, the main case 85 of February last year, which happened in Florida. So the reason for that is because we wanted to make sure that we get almost all the suspects, especially the organizer of the hit. So after identifying everyone else, and we could realize that of the 6 suspects, at least 4 of them, we have parallel cases that we can link them with. So we started pursuing those parallel cases. One of them was the case that was talked about in the media, where we went to Cape Town and we arrested someone in Cape Town. I'm sure you might have heard about it. And we brought them back here. We charged a person on a parallel case, but the very same person was linked to this case, but we didn't charge him on the case. So we went on with the rest of these arrests that we effected. The first one being the 22nd of April, where the organizer of firearms and vehicles, the person who was renting this out, was arrested and was charged on different cases, as well as most recently he's now been linked to this one of case 85. On the 24th of October, that's when we effected our second arrest. This was a spotter who was arrested also being involved in murder in another case that happened, except the one that you're talking about. On the 14th of December, we arrested the third suspect. And that suspect was also linked with another murder case that happened in Mazimtoti, including, but we did not charge on this one that we are talking about today. On the 24th of February, maybe let me explain this one. After identifying the 2 suspects that we're looking for, after chasing them the whole year, we found the house where they were hiding in Swaziland. So through information, we could spot them, and we got informers to tell them and give us their photos, and we could confirm their whereabouts. So because we wanted to follow the law, and I like South African media because you tend to understand now the law, that we can't be talking about things that are still in court, especially when individuals have not been charged. So in this case, we approached the NPA, an affidavit was prepared, and we submitted through Interpol in order to request the authorities in Swaziland to help us catch these two. These two were arrested on Saturday morning in Swaziland for other cases, as I've spoken about, including the one that we're talking about. However, when we were talking about the other parallel cases, it's simple because we did not want to scare the very last two that we're still looking for. We had warrant of arrest for the last two, which is the main guy that without him, this case would not have been strong. We needed to get that one behind bars. So after getting these two on Saturday, we're told that they found them. We did not communicate that, as has been the case throughout, that you're not communicating it. We did not communicate on Saturday. We did not communicate on Sunday. On Monday, we had on our position warrant of arrest of the last two. Unfortunately, the news broke out. So when the news broke out, the very last suspect we're looking for went on a run because the news were out, and they realized that the people that they thought were hiding that side, they're now running away, that they've been arrested. So they ought to run. So the team worked 24/7, 24 hours looking for them. And that was from Monday until early hours of this morning when the lawyers came to us and they said, okay, they're going to hand themselves over because we were hunting them and we had warrant of arrest. So this afternoon, they then were arrested and charged on the same case 85. One of these suspects that are in custody, that will amount into a total of 6 suspects that we're looking for. 4 of them are here, and 2 of them are not here yet because we're still busy with the legal process that we cannot engage on now because it involves many parties. So that's basically all timelines in terms of what has happened from last year, April, up until now. Thanks so much, Minister.
Thank you very much, General. We're just going to open up the floor now to some questions. You know the rules. Please identify yourself as well as the media house that you represent. I'll start there at the back. That's ENCA. And I'll come here. So we'll take the first 3 questions, please. And also just direct yourself as to who you're asking the question to. Please also take in mind that the Commissioner of the SAPS is also here, General Fani Masimula. Go ahead, Desen.
Okay. I'm Desen Taute from ENCA. Perhaps just to start with a few questions, but the first of it being, so I think you mentioned, General, that when this news broke as a result of the foreign media, that was when it really, in a sense, compromised your case, and there was a suspect that escaped. Is there any particular reason that it took that event, although it chased away your suspect, but it took that event for us to finally get clarity on this matter? Is there any reason why, up until that point, the police was not able to give us that? In fact, so much so that the statement that was released yesterday or the day before gave us the impression that the 2 from Eswatini were not actually linked to this case. So perhaps some clarity on that and the strategy that you employed there. The second is that you said a little while ago that it was the coordinator or the almost, I think you used the word master, but when you say that, are you talking about the coordinator on the ground and not necessarily the mastermind, the person who paid the money? Can you clarify that point? And a follow-on to that question would be, how close are we then to actually finding out who paid for this hit?
All right, thank you, Desen. Kosikon?
Yeah, Kosikon Aduma from News 24. I think I'm just going to follow the same line. Any idea as to what could have been the motive for this particular crime? And the second question would be those 2 suspects that are not here yet, do you expect that by Thursday when the 4 appear in court that those ones would have arrived here and they would appear with them? And just for clarity, and not to guess, we'll talk about the Durban Magistrates Court, right? That's where they'll make their first court appearance. All right, we'll give you the clarity. One last question from the side, go ahead.
Joy Paulson from the SABC, just touching from where my colleagues left off. There's been a lot of speculation with regards to his inner circle. They had supper there at the Wish restaurant. Can we expect any more arrests that are made? And also, the people in the house, have they been linked to any of the suspects that have been arrested?
All right, we'll take those first three questions, General and Minister.
Okay, thanks so much, Minister. The first question, why did we not speak about this until the news broke? As I said earlier, our strategy was that we're not going to talk about this, and I've said it many times. We will not talk about this until first we inform the family, and secondly, we're going to be going to court. That has been the strategy. So that's why we had to find a way of getting these people arrested and detained for parallel cases other than this main case, knowing for a fact that we have our fish been detained somewhere, and when his time is ready for this case and we have all the other suspects, then we'll book this one out and charge him on this case. That's basically has been the strategy. So unfortunately, we already were there. We were there on Saturday when we requested the Swati authorities to execute those warrants. From the time they agreed, okay, we're going to execute, and they told us on Saturday that the warrants have been executed. Monday, we were in court to get the warrant of arrest for the last two. That was our plan. By the time the news broke, we already had warrants on our hands. And when we were about to discuss with the NPA in terms of course, when we arrest, we must go to court. So when we were discussing with NPA, the news broke. And by the time when we were going for the suspects, they were gone. Because those were people that were not running away, they were always around. That's why we thought we were going to keep them last. So that's basically was our strategy. Unfortunately, the Swati, unfortunately, they release whatever that they release in the media, which I'm not going to talk about. As I said, it is in Swaziland. I'm glad that you all understand that we shouldn't be talking and bringing such documentation that are in court that must go out into the media. It's just disappointing, but basically it's not because we were fooling the public, but we wanted to make sure we don't compromise this and we follow the law. The coordinator is the same mastermind. It's the person who put the team together, mobilize resources, and pay them after the job. How long will it take to bring those back into the country? It's a legal process that I cannot talk about. It will take as long as the law allows it to take. We'll be glad that they are still in custody. That's side. We hope they stay in custody. And by the time they get here, then we'll be able to present them to before the NPA, before the court. Yes, indeed, there is a possibility of other suspects that might be added on the list. But our case is strong as is now with the 6. So once we get the others, you will get to know about it, that there is one we added, or 2 or 3 or whatever numbers, as well as some exhibits that you might still find as we investigate.
But Tafia, you are not very correct. When you say we have not been saying anything about it, we waited for Swazi News or Swazi Mail, you are not very correct. We've been talking about this thing. You just did not want to believe us. You fell, all of you, when we say there are cars that are in the hands of the police. There are people that are linked in this case that are in custody. Maybe not emphasizing the point that for other things, because the brief is that you need to link them on, put your ducks in the row and all that. To say that South African police, he has said that time and again. Next to you, Matt has said it time and again. We have said it time and again to say we are on the track of this case. We have said that time and again. And if you look, when the information and the evidence was put, that is March after the killer. The first person known and picked up on the 22nd April 2022. So cars found as given. So South African police, the only thing that one congratulates is to refuse the pressure that could have compromised the case. Should we have said we found one car and all that kind of stuff. See how they spread, others in Swaziland or Eswatini and all that. But police, I think they have tried under very trying conditions to take on board South Africans. The only thing South Africans, they want to see blood and the dead body to believe. So if you say somebody's dead and they don't show the dead body, so they don't believe. But the truth of the matter is that we have tried to brief our South Africans, including yesterday. Yesterday, we said, well, we are waiting for proper briefing and all that. For instance, the people, the authorities of Eswatini, they would have known how to brief us rather than going to the paper. They are members of SAPRO, they are members of Interpol and their neighbors and all that. For us, that would have been much better if they first followed that rather than making news. To us, is less news and more of an issue that we want us to tell about.
All right, let's take the second round of questions, please. We'll take follow-ups after. I think it's only fair. Let me just look at the side of the room. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Thank you. My name is Sandy Lemota. I work for the Sunday World newspaper. Just a quick one. There was a question actually from my colleague, so I just wanted to insist on it. Do we perhaps know the motive behind the murder of AKA?
All right, we'll definitely ask that question. No. All right, go ahead.
I'm also Melissa from Newsroom Africa. I just want clarity, just for clarity's sake. There's a coordinator, there's 2 shooters, there's 2 spotters, and I think you also said, pardon me?
And the trigger pullers, oh, those are
The
shooters.
shooters.
Yes, the 2 shooters. You mentioned someone else, but nonetheless, and then you said the coordinator is the mastermind. So the clarity that I want is this the person that ordered the hit? And do we know how much these people were paid?
All right, the rands and cents there. That's a follow-up. Let me just see if there's a fresh hand, colleagues. Okay, go ahead.
Any of the arrested people, is there any of them who's a person of public interest is known?
All right, so a famous person. And I'm going to take your follow-up, Dasen.
Okay, well, initially I was going to ask about the price, but I think that will be answered. The other question was around that missing suspect. Are we in a position, General, to say, is this someone that you still have tabs on? Are you confident that he's someone you're going to catch soon, or is it a case of having to now start the process of hunting him down again?
All right, will be fair to close okay, we'll have the last round, okay, colleagues?
And on a personal level, Lucia Sudial from East Coast Radio News. I'm sure you guys have briefed the family before you briefed us, and what was the reaction from them?
Okay, we'll sneak that question in.
Thank
We'll
you.
have the last round, colleagues, after this. Jimmy?
Okay, the briefing of the family, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to answer that one, Minister. Don't want to get involved on that one. The motive is not yet known. We suspect, but we're not going to talk about it. We suspect what could be the motive, but we're not going to say now what could be the reason. But until there's any confession or whatever that comes out, then we'll be able to know. We know how much each received, how much they were paid, but we're not going to divulge it because it's part of the case.
Not much.
Is there any famous suspect amongst the group? I don't know what is described as being famous. So it's going to be difficult for me to say this one is famous or not. So they're all human beings and they're all South African citizens, so they're all important. I'll leave it there. Missing suspect or suspects, more than one. I said any other suspect, any other individual might be added on this case if the investigation lead us into that. So the team is still working. So we hope that whoever that we need to add on the charge, we will add on the charge. Whether we are chasing that person or we are not chasing that person for now, or maybe chase later, we might still add people if need be. The investigation doesn't end here. Thanks so much.
Well, I'm impeccably informed that the family has been informed. That's that. Actually, I received the information that is informed when I was ready to inform the family that the family has been informed. I think the oldest of these guys is 36. Yeah, that's the oldest out of the whole group. So it's 36. It's not very old group of people and all that. Duma, imotive uyithola khona so uyithola khona, and we are all interested really to know, because it's very clear it was not just somebody that woke up in the morning and got angry. You can see the build up and all that coordinating. The money, yeah, they got money, all of them, they were paid.
But not much.
Not much.
But not much.
Yeah, really not. The life of a person cannot have anything enough. But you would think that is such a profile person,
Yeah.
you really you think that I don't know what a life of person. I don't know if you kid me how much you demand on that. But across the board, there will be no money enough for the life of person. But as people say, that some animals are more equal than others, you would expect that that money would be real. So, not.
Okay, colleagues, we are taking the last round. I'll see if we have any fresh hands first, and then we'll take follow-ups. So it looks like it's follow-ups. All right, go ahead.
It's been a year-long investigation. I just want to know, from the investigation, was this the first assassination attempt? Through the thorough investigation, has there been any information that has come to the fore that perhaps suggests that they have tried to attempt elsewhere?
Just to be clear,
Yeah.
a first attempt on who?
On the killing of.
Super. All right. Okay. What's going?
It sounds like a general question, but I feel that I need to ask it. You've taken almost a year to complete this investigation, or at least to bring them to court.
Yes.
You've been under pressure as the police from the public to come to this point, and congratulations for that point. But the question I have is, are you really confident that after spending so much time gathering so many people, that this will result in real convictions?
Okay. I'm gonna take in newsroom and then ENCA. Go ahead.
Me again. Do we define mastermind as the person who ordered the hit? That's what we just want to clarify.
All right. And then the last but not least, Dissent.
Okay, so I just want to clarify a point. We're talking about, I think it's common cause now that it was a hit. But what I just want to establish is, was this specifically targeted only to towards AKA, and was Tebelo hit, just as a consequence, or was he also part of those that was targeted? Thank you.
All right, colleagues, that is the final round. I'm going to ask the General to take us through those questions, and then we'll close it.
Okay, thank you so much. We're not aware, in SAPS KZN is not aware of any attempt in the past on the life of the deceased. It might have happened in other part of the country, but not in KZN. We don't have any records of such. There was never a case registered before. Yes, I said before, and up until Monday, when I issued a clip, that once we have arrested everyone that we need, and we've discussed the case with the NPA, and NPA is happy with the case, and they are happy to present the case in court, we will then brief the South Africans through the media. What we are doing today is exactly that. We were not going to call you and brief you if we're not happy about the evidence together with the NPA. So we are happy together with NPA, that's why we're briefing you today. Of course, things happen in court, and there's lawyers, and there's, they will always twist and turn things. The case might take longer than perhaps we might all want it to take, but that will be left to the court. The master versus the hit order. I must indicate again, of the 6, we have someone that coordinated the whole operation. And that's a person who mobilized all these resources and people. That's a person who paid them after the job. So whether did he get an instruction from elsewhere, we cannot say that, because we don't have that evidence. At least we know that he's the one that organized everything. Whether he organized it under the instruction of someone else, it remains to be seen. Through the investigation, we might still go higher than that one. But for now, we're happy that if we go higher, we might be looking for one person or another one on top of that one. But this one is commanding the forces that were operating on the day. So that's why we're comfortable with him. So in terms of English, what is the right terminology? Maybe sibeke kanjalo. Yeah, umtitiye. So who was the main target? From our investigation, it became clear that Mr. Forbes was the main target. He's the one that was followed from the airport. He's the one who was followed at the hotel. He's the one that was spotted inside the restaurant. And the plan was not to shoot him the manner they did. They were going to shoot him in the vehicle. But because he stood longer outside greeting his friend, and those hitmen did not want to wait. That's why they came for him. So the second victim, it was by coincidence that he was shot. As I'm sure you'll realize, the second shooter was at quite a distance away from him when he got shot. So we do believe that the plan was for Mr. Forbes. Thanks so much.
I do want to emphasize the point that we are happy about sitting there listening and all that. For the NPA to say take it to court, we do the investigation, police do the investigation, and we put it, and the NPA take to court. Time must tell, but absolutely there is a zero hesitation from the investigators. Those that is a good team, that one has met, presentation, and all that kind of stuff. Modis, umtitieli lo, ubabize bonke, wabatholela izinto zokusebenza bonke, wabakhokhela bonke. They all get equal share, by the way. Bonke bathola imali elinganayo, bonke, all that. But I do agree with the question, is he the last man? I'm sure the question asked by Duma and the SABC, if that is the last, that investigation that continues will tell us the story that is Mtitiel the real man, or is the man beyond the man, or is the man or the woman beyond the man. But for now, it does look like he did almost everything. Motive and time will tell us, investigation going forward will tell us. We have been assured about the 7th person. It could not be tomorrow, it could not be the day after tomorrow, but indeed, it will be in the hands of the police. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Minister. Colleagues, you have been asking what court that is going to be. Can we please advise you closer to the time, but it is definitely going to be on Thursday, General?
Thursday, yeah.
On Thursday. We will advise you as to which court exactly the suspects are going to be appearing. And thank you so much for availing yourself tonight. Have a fantastic evening further.
It's not late, not too late.
You know.
Sorry, Mama.
Thank you.
This is my child.